gonna purchase. That's a name.
You need to really get off my balls, okay? I'm gonna kick your ass.
Also, why was Michelangelo so stinky? Ew.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 275 of All You Can Hear. I'm your host, Wenzel, and today I'm joined by...
The mighty Colt.
Yeah! Hopefully, we treat you better than this movie did.
Yeah, I'm gonna be having a good story moments. Me promise.
And if you're just now joining us this month, in August, it will be Colt and I running the show. Pat and JoJo are taking a break for this month from recording because they need it, because they've been busy socially and working hard. So we decided to take the reins for a bit. Today, we'll be discussing and reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder, comparing it to the comic book storyline by Jason Aaron. We will be discussing spoilers
For
because
both.
at the time... For both, yes, for both. Because at the time this is releasing, the movie would have released exactly a month. So we think that's enough time for anyone to watch it, or or maybe you're not interested in Marvel or this movie and you want to know our thoughts. Then please stick around. Wow, a lot of spit just came into my mouth.
Whoa, it's from another source? Like somebody spit in your mouth?
No. For some reason, as I was talking, just so much spit just developed in my mouth. For no reason. I don't know.
It's Thor trying to put some some halts in our steps. Okay, so last night we tried to record this podcast, but Wenzel's Wi-Fi kept getting real bad because the weather. Whenever we thought it was getting good, it didn't. It just kept going and going, getting bad. Thanks to Thor. And I think he just doesn't want to hear our opinions because we have, spoiler alert, been talking shit on it for the last 4 days.
We are very upset about it, and this is no lie too. Last night, it was Saturday night when we tried this. I didn't expect anything to happen on my end. Colt was more worried about his end, but then as soon as we got online and started talking, my internet kept going out every 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm like, well, shit, we might not be able to do this tonight. So we had to push it to Sunday today when we're recording, and it's actually my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Thank you. And yeah, we watched Thor 3 days ago on Thursday night, and speaking of Thor, it was thundering and lightning and raining, and we were thinking, oh man, this is maybe a good omen, that this movie is going to be great, and we'll get in there, we'll love it, we'll come out victorious. We just got done watching Minions. Minions totally won't be the best movie we watch that night. Minions will be the second best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
And as soon as we entered, we got hit with another omen, which we should have realized immediately as it was a bad omen.
It was a bad omen.
Right as the movie was beginning, someone decided to do a comic whoa, slip and fall, and throw their entire slushie across an entire aisle from one side to the other side of the theater, smashing into the wall with their whatever slushie they had.
The more I think about it too, the more I hope nobody got covered, but probably they did.
If I got covered in slushie, I would my night's ruined. I don't know what to do. I either I would go home immediately or I would sit there and watch the movie, but not really watch the movie because I'd be mad because I'm covered in fucking slushy and I'm sticky.
And the thing is, the movie already will be making you mad, so you'll be double mad. That's that's a very bad combination. I'm sorry, that's a terrible night. That would be a terrible night. And also too, I should say, when he says up the wall, it goes up the wall and hits a light. Like he's not lying about that. That happened, and everybody got up. Not everybody got up, but like everybody stood up from their seats a little bit, and you could hear people whispering, "Are they okay?" Because like it was so. There's no way you couldn't have seen it unless you were, I don't know, on your phone or just goddamn not looking or something. And there's a good solid 5 to 10 minutes of movie we just missed. We have no idea what was said.
But it was the very beginning, so I'm assuming it wasn't that important.
No. I hope. I don't know. Does it matter right now, I guess? Not really. So I know we've already kind of like, so yeah. So the Thunder Omen, I think, was actually a bad omen too. We just took it as a good omen, but we were wrong. We're gonna try. So we're gonna try to talk about some good things that we liked about this movie, and then that's when we'll move into negative stuff.
Yeah, we'll try to do our positives as not negative as possible. It's going to be hard because some of the positives have negatives. It's weird.
And there's not really many positives.
There really isn't.
So I will say this, the practical effects, those were cool. I think those were well done.
The practical effects done with real stuff, real, tangible. Just for the people out there that don't know the difference between practical and CGI. CGI is computer, practical real. And that's a negative. I can't bring it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the practical effects were cool. They were nice, especially the beginning. There was these bird like rocker like badass bird rebel army. I don't know. They're the enemy in the first part, and they looked cool, but they looked wacky at the same time. Me and Colt were talking about this, and they kind of reminded us of like if you've ever seen Labyrinth or Dark Crystal type of costumes and creatures. They kind of looked like that. They looked something out of that, and they're actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the CG for some of the stuff wasn't bad because those birds were also a combination of those two. Yeah. There's some stuff in there that wasn't too bad with the CG. I mean, the beginning fight between Thor and that attacking army was pretty sick. Oh gosh,
yeah,
I'm trying to think
I
of
thought
other
it was
cool moments.
funny whenever he stopped those two motorcycle things with his feet, started screaming. I thought that was funny.
That was funny. The motorcycles were cool. There was this battle that takes place on this like, I don't even know if it's a planet. I don't want to say it's a planet, but it's a small rock that they fight. That was pretty cool. The action. I mean, the action wasn't actually that bad.
No.
It was pretty good. The fight on there, the fight between Thor and Zeus's guards or whatever.
That was pretty sick.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty sick. Mighty Thor's fighting was actually pretty cool. The way she used the hammer.
Yeah. Because in the comics, she has the hammer zoom, zip around freely. But in this one, since the hammer is smashed up, the shards have their individual patterns that she can control. So the shards will just zip around, and it's actually really OP and very cool and underused in the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was super cool. And Gore, the way he used the Necro sword, I mean the monsters he conjures up, those were pretty cool. In terms of just CG and that's all I can really think of. We'll talk about the bad CG later, obviously. But yeah, so that's a positive. Some of the effects and fights were cool.
I'm really trying to think. Like Christian Bale is a good actor. I love him.
Yeah,
but this is probably one of the worst roles I've seen him in. It's not because Gore is a bad character. Gore is an amazing character. I went ahead and bought the comics to prepare for this movie because I thought it's going to be rule. I loved Ragnarok. The comics were fan-fucking-tastic. The God Bomb, Thor the God Butcher, not Thor, Gore the God Butcher was so fucking cool. Some of the most badass shit you'll ever see in a comic. And then they turn Gore Oh my God, we're still in the positives. They turn him into a joke.
You know, whenever we were trying to do this episode last night, Colt did the exact same thing when he was trying to talk about Christian Bale and Gore. That's kind of funny, but I mean he's right though, because Gore, for what we got, it wasn't bad. Christian Bale is an amazing actor. That hasn't changed. It was more of the directing and writing for him was not good. Well, that's a negative too. I was gonna say something, but like his design wasn't too bad. I do wish they would have kind of stuck to his original design, but I think this one being unique and separate, I think that's fine. I think it was all right. Gore was they hit a high note with the beginning when they introduce him, because they start off with his backstory, which was actually pretty good, and I'm glad they did that. But then from there out, it was just he was barely there in the movie.
Yeah,
honestly,
it was felt like a terrible use of him. He's a fantastic villain. He's like one of the most badass villains you can get, and they just had him be there in a weird comedic sense. It was extremely disrespectful to the source material.
Yeah, not like Gore himself, Christian Bale, was being funny. It was more of the way they sorry, this is getting into negatives now.
We're almost out of positives. There's not much.
I know. Oh gosh. Well, I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, I should mention too. Yeah, Colt, like he said, he prepared for this movie by reading everything. Like Jason, almost
the first run of Thor. I read
first run of Thor.
I just started the Mighty Thors. I'm like 7 issues into that. Fan-fucking-tastic comics. If you like Thor, read that shit, because it will rock your shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Gore the God Butcher storyline, because like Colt said, it's great. I read it back in 2018. I wanted to reread it, but I was busy reading other stuff and doing other things. But I knew it was so freaking good. I didn't honestly need a refresher. But honestly, after watching this movie, I'm going to probably go and read it, because it just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I want something good.
Yeah, and plus there's some that you haven't read. I mean, there's a lot of Jason Aaron stuff with War of the Realms.
Oh yeah, no,
and, like, just future stuff.
Mighty Thor, War of the Realms, a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I just want to read specifically Gore the God Butcher, but I absolutely need to read more, because, like you said, Mighty Thor is great. War of the Realms is freaking cool. Where I left off too, I wanted more, so I definitely need to go back. I'm trying to think of other positives.
There's really not much.
I mean, everybody, acting was good. I mean, the Guardians, for as long as they were there, I mean, they were fun.
Yeah, the Guardians were fun. I feel like their jokes were probably some of the best in the movie, and they're gone. They're gone within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so those jokes starting off were not too bad. The goats, surprisingly, for the goats screaming being an outdated meme format, that was actually still pretty funny. Because, like, if nobody remembers, that was like a huge thing in the mid 2010s, is having like a song, like a pop song, and then whenever there's like a high like vocal part, it's replaced with the goat screaming, as a like, gotcha, that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just some goats screaming, because goats, when they scream, or some goats scream, they sound just like that.
They sound just like that, and it is horrifying sometimes. It was cool to see where all the gods have been this entire time, I guess. They've been in a realm called omnipotency. I want to say omnipotency.
Omnipotent city.
Yes. That's where they've been. I thought that was cool. We got to see all the different gods and stuff. Some of them not, obviously we can see every single one, but it was kind of a big deal, because we have a dedicated, like, or we know exactly now where they have been and why they haven't been present, because when they go to this place, they can never leave it. I think that was the case, wasn't it?
It was more so for Thor, because he didn't want Thor to know where they all were.
Yeah. Maybe I remember that. Maybe I just transplanted that together. Anyway, it was cool to see that.
I don't think we have any more.
No, we
Oh, the outfits too. These are the best
the costumes.
Thor costumes ever. Like with Mighty Thor and normal Thor. These are beautiful designs, beautiful colors.
Yeah, because at some point, Thor changes his costume because he gets jealous of Mighty Thor, and his helmet and his colors—they're pretty damn sick. I mean, the costumes are great. I do think it's funny though how, so like the marketing and advertising and stuff for Gore, he looks similar to his comic counterpart with his skin color, but then everybody was like, oh, he's just a white guy because it's just Christian Bale with a bald cap, and I was like, oh yeah, but then when you actually see him in the movie, it's like, holy shit, he is just a white guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't look alien at all. He has like some kind of markings, but that's it. He doesn't look alien, and it's really
dark. I think it's after he gets to Necrosword, he gets like a grayish tint. He just looks like a malnourished white guy.
Yeah, no. Whenever he gets the Necrosword, he gets cursed. Basically, he looks, because he's infected by it. So there's that. But I mean, that's nothing. Like, it's not. I remember Taika Waititi saying in an interview that the reason why they didn't stick to the way he looked in the comics was because they were afraid that people would just say he looked like Voldemort. But I'm like,
so fucking stupid.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know, take a risk. Like, if you give him his tendrils, I mean, you can't really say he looks like Voldemort when he has his tendrils. I don't know. But it's fine. It's fine. No, that's not fine because
fine.
The movie fucking sucked.
Yeah, so I feel like we should go ahead and give our scores and what happened.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give our scores. So, my score is 1.5. I originally gave it 2.5, and Colt did this first. Actually, he bumped his score down after like
12 hours. I went to sleep
12 hours.
And I woke up and I was still angry about it, and I thought about it more. I went from 2 stars to 1.5.
I changed mine over the course of 3 days because the more I thought about it, like Colt, I was like, this movie makes me so mad. It's so disappointing and it sucks. I gotta bump my score down. It is currently, for me at least, the worst Marvel movie I have ever seen.
I'm with you 100%. Like, I thought Thor Dark World was overhated. I really enjoyed it. I think Thor 1 was boring as hell. Thor 1 was my least favorite Marvel movie, but now it's been dethroned by my most anticipated Thor movie. That's crazy.
It's so fucking crazy because, oh my god. I mean, really though, like, I think what makes it sting even more is just how excited we were, just how pumped we were, because, oh my god, this will not, I am getting so much, is there a god controlling my saliva right now? Because this is ridiculous. Why is this happening? Did I eat something that causes me to salivate more?
I mean, it's possible. That is a thing.
That is a thing. Fuck. Oh my god. I don't know. Hold on. Let me take a drink. Oh my god. I don't think that helped. I don't know why I did that.
I mean, I'm adding more water to water. That just creates more water.
Oh gosh. But anyway, yeah, so when this movie was first announced, obviously we were all excited because it was the first time a movie in the Marvel Universe would get a fourth. They announced the title. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and the trailer was fucking banging. That trailer was a great-ass trailer.
Yeah, no, it was a great trailer. And like I said, when it was announced, it was its title card was announced. It looked really cool, the font and everything, but everybody kind of became apprehensive because it seemed like it was gonna be more kind of silly, more campy, maybe in the same vein as Ragnarok. But then Taika himself announced that Gore, they'd be adapting his story, and there would be some tenderness and seriousness to it. So I was like, okay, because he did a good job with Ragnarok, so I think this will be fine. Or I think it will be fine. And then he said, after trailers, after more interviews, he said Gore's probably the best villain in the MCU. He's amazing. Christian Bale's amazing. And, that, none of that panned out.
No, not at all. Wenzel and I agree. We think Taika Waititi needs to not direct another Thor movie ever again. Or just, if he does, I need Marvel to step in and tell him to stop it and chill the fuck out with the jokes. Because we're dealing with a character called Gore the God Butcher. In the comics, he goes around killing all these gods. Because when he was with his daughter, she starved and died in a desert. And whenever he went to the god saying, "Why weren't you there? Why didn't you help?" the god laughed at him saying, "I don't give a fuck. I like to eat fruit." And
basically,
he grabbed the necrosword from the corpse of someone nearby, stabs the god in the throat, and he says, "I will kill all gods." He doesn't say it, but his name's Gore the God Butcher.
He says that this will be my promise. All gods will die.
Oh, okay, then he does. He says, "I'm going to kill all gods." Then it proceeds to turn into Family Guy, where it's nothing but fucking jokes. And I love Family Guy. I do. But this is Gore the God Butcher. You can't do this.
Well, yeah, because Family Guy is meant to be a comedy. Thor, like, if we're talking about redundancy right now, because Thor has been through so much. I don't know, like, we were just talking about Gore, but Thor, he's lost his father, his mother, his brother, half of his people, and then,
His
they
hammer.
lost he lost his hammer. He lost the first battle with Thanos. He's already been through so much. He lost his eye. So, like, dude's been through a lot. And then there's this, where you would think that maybe you would take some of that for character development, maybe make it a little more serious. I mean, Cody said this back whenever we were doing the episode about Infinity War, that all of the character development that Thor had from Ragnarok was completely just fucking diminished.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, let's see. And then, no, he was fucking right. It was all for nothing. And then Taika was like, yeah, whatever. And then, like Colt said, Gore, it starts off really well. Gore is in the desert. He loses something so fucking precious to him because they were worshiping devoutly to a god, and that god did not fucking care. He did not care. He saw Gore and his people as less than animals. Maybe just animals. I don't know. Like, he didn't. He was literally the god, picked him up by the neck and was going to kill him. He's like, I don't fucking care. There'll be more followers. I don't care. You can die with your daughter. And that starts off really well. But then I think too, this is where obviously we're going to the negatives right now. So whenever he gets the necro sword, we see the body of whoever was wielding it. I think maybe the god mentioned that was another god who had it, but it's kind of downplayed about it. And the entire fucking movie, Gore, even though he's a serious threat, he's basically downplayed. Same thing with the necro sword. Literally all you hear is, oh yeah, I've heard stories about it, it's a cursed sword, blah 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, Gore the God Butcher, we get like a moment in the beginning with the Guardians where there's like a bunch of messages coming about how there's this guy killing gods, the God Butcher, blah blah blah, but we never see his exploits.
No,
and
it was just Thor going around with his gang saying, like, Gore's pretty fucking bad. We need to stop. But also, Gore's pretty bad. Poop cock, pee. He's just saying jokes. That was my input, my replacement for jokes. He's just saying jokes to make funny moments.
To go into that humor, I mean, it was literally like they get attacked at some point, and Gore kidnaps all of the Asgardian children. And he's out just in space with a bunch of kids. This god-murdering, psychopath. And they're just joking. They're just like, oh, haha, joke, or let's fool around. It's like, I got a little Bluetooth player that plays music. Yeah. Haha.
And then
funny.
Thor tries to zoom off to find the kids, but then, I can't remember what his hammer's called. Stormbreaker's like, you're not doing this because you are still in love with Mjolnir, and I'm your weapon wife. And the whole movie, that joke comes around and around. I thought it was funny the first few times. Then it just kept happening over and over and over.
The first 2 times, it was funny. But then it kept happening, like Colt said, where, that was literally a detriment to the story, was because Thor was having feelings for his hammer, but also feelings for Jane, Mighty Thor, that it caused him not to be able to wield Stormbreaker correctly. That was just kind of stupid, in my opinion. And there also was a funny bit, I should say, in the beginning where Thor planted Stormbreaker into the ground, and whenever he had to take Stormbreaker out, Stormbreaker was already growing roots. I thought that was kind of funny. I think we all laughed.
Yeah, that was a good bit. It was before the depression sank in, so.
Yeah, it's just nothing but jokes and bits forever.
Taika really needed to be reined in. I tried to say this last night, but the Thunder Gods wouldn't allow it. I think that this movie was Marvel at its laziest. It felt like they were just doing the least they could, and they really went for it. It felt like an insult to the fans. It really did. Just tried to see how stupid we are and how far they could get away with it. It just felt extremely disrespectful to everyone.
Yeah, no, Colt said this really well, that it was basically a test of that. And I agree. It was a test, and they failed, and I think everybody failed. Except for us. We passed. We passed.
The hardcore Marvel fans like it, so I don't know. It's strange.
It's so bizarre because it has let me look. I
think 3.3 on Letterboxd.
A 3.3 on Letterboxd. Okay, yeah, 3.3 on Letterboxd. It still has that. Dark World has like a 2.5 or something, or maybe a 2.9. So it's pretty damn low. And currently, I'm pretty sure Thor: Love and Thunder is like the 5 highest ranking
Marvel movie,
or Marvel movie. Like it's made the most. It's the 5th made the most money, which is it makes sense, but also too what the fuck, because it's too damn stupid and silly. I mean, like we said, Gore himself isn't a joking character, and Christian Bale doesn't really bring that except for one moment. But his mission, the impact of him, his themes, everything is just made into a joke and downplayed. And that's where Marvel really fails. They had an opportunity to adapt something that, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. Marvel adapting source material for their movies has never really been a problem for me because, like we've said, the MCU is unique. It's separate. It doesn't have to be like the source, and that's good. I celebrate that. But with this, it's like Jason Aaron's writing and his run of Thor. I mean, not holding back or anything, it's perfect. And with this, they had the opportunity to deal and address something that Marvel hasn't done, or many movies in general haven't done, and that is what happens when there are gods who are terrible, incompetent and not doing their job. Like that's something that I don't think has ever like been really discussed or explored in many movies. And they could have done something really well in this by having Gore, somebody who was very greatly affected by being a devout believer and worshiper, and then having been betrayed, and him going on a basically a I would guess genocidal, deicidal spree, and being just an absolute like he's on the same level of Thanos, of being just such a huge problem, like an impact of like a powerhouse.
And in the comics,
I don't think
he's only, his objective is to kill the gods. It's not the people. He's wanting to free the mortals. He wants them to be happy and free. But in this movie, he kidnaps mortals, and he like terrorizes them. Even though in the comics, whenever he captured mortals, he would like be reassuring, like, no harm will come to you. I only wish to kill your gods.
Yeah,
it's complete opposite here. He's just a pure villain.
He's just a pure villain, and I mean, it's fine, but at the same time too, it kind of goes against who he is as a character, because again, like, why does he care about kidnapping some kids? I mean, because technically you can consider the Asgardians themselves their own race, but they worship Thor, Odin, their leaders. They worship them as gods, which is a thing in like cultures and stuff. So it's not, it's not too far off. So it doesn't really make sense why he would it does make sense in the terms of the story, but it doesn't make sense why he would actually bring any harm to them, because there's a moment where a giant boulder is going to fall on them and he just doesn't fucking care. And it's like, I think that would have been kind of an interesting choice if he would have saved those kids, because that shows that, like, okay, he cares about everybody else, like mortals and stuff, but he doesn't fucking care about gods, because he's killing them. And anyway, yeah, so Marvel could have taken a risk, and I believe adapting Gore's storyline and what he represents would have been a huge risk, but I wholeheartely believe it would have paid off. Like, I really do, and it's such a bummer. Yeah. It's such a fucking bummer.
He could have been as big as he could have been as big as fucking Thanos.
Okay, sorry, that's what I was gonna say. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, the only person who's ever like come close to this like scale of like killing is Thanos. Like, Gore is the only one who's come close, because I mean, in the comics, he went on a huge killing spree of killing gods. Like, he was traveling like all throughout the universe, just going and just killing. And Thor, it was pretty cool because we saw Thor basically, like, it was kind of noirish because he was trying to figure out who was committing these murders, and he was trying to track him down. It was super sick. And for this, I mean, they really just streamlined it. I that's the best, because like I said, so negatives is, I believe, because of what they had done to the MCU so far. YTD had to make some choices in terms of like story and the processes of things that are happening. So I think that was detrimental to the writing, because, like, again, with Gore, I think his powers were separate from what in the comics. I mean, in the comics he could summon monsters and stuff, but the Necro Sword was much more than that. It was literally a living weapon. He used it to make a cloak. I mean, it literally was draped over his body. It could turn into a number of different weapons. It was insane. It was cool. And in here, it was just a sword. It allowed him to travel through shadows, which was actually super sick. But then they're like, oh, he's in the shadow realm. It's this place that makes us weaker and is not devoid of light, but it's like it was kind of cool. It uses it was just black and white and gray, and the only time they got color was when they were using light. So that was kind of cool, but it just shows them taking the Rainbow Bridge out into space, and they come across the Shadow Realm. I thought that was dumb. I didn't like that, and
Yeah, I didn't understand how they exactly got there. I know they needed the Bifrost from Stormbreaker.
yeah,
Eh.
and they really downplayed like so much, like Gore having to go to the I can't remember edge end of the universe to go to eternity. I mean, it just seems like they kind of barely skipped over it. They're just like, oh yeah, they have to go to eternity, who is said to grant a wish, blah blah blah. Like that's it.
Yeah, they don't
Like
really
they don't.
tell you much about Eternity because, like, I really didn't understand that much about Eternity. Other than like he's there at the edge, you don't understand that he's like such an important character.
He is. I was trying to tell Colt because he is a character specifically, and he is one of the like the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe because he is eternity. He is. I had trouble explaining this to him because he's an abstract concept, and yeah, he's they referenced him way back in Guardians Volume 2, where Star-Lord was being shown a vision by Ego, and he says eternity, and that was a direct reference to eternity. And then there's a lot of little cool Easter eggs in that building that they go to as well. But yeah, Gore was completely just misused and just an absolute waste of a character. And I'll just go ahead and say it too about Gore and about this movie is that now this will forever, in my opinion, stain pop culture and the MCU, because like either people, there might be people who are interested who will go seek it out. I say yes, the source material will always be there. Go check it out. We both highly recommend it. But then there might be some people who after seeing this are like, oh, who cares? Or if it's like this, then I'm not going to read it or whatever. And I think, and because the MCU is just, such a powerhouse of pop culture now and a mark and a symbol, this will be what represents that. And that is terrible in my opinion.
Yeah, and the way it ends doesn't help because it's going to spread its stain for the rest of the MCU. I don't know how they're going to correct it because the very end stuff is dumb as shit and I hate it. Well, whenever they went to meet the gods to get to Zeus to get his lightning bolt, I thought that it was pretty fun how they killed all his men, but then it immediately was downplayed into the orgies. And all the gods just watched as they were slaughtered. They were just doing their own thing.
Yeah, so that was another thing about that place. And so it was like it was a good opportunity to show the gods being just a bunch of complete bastards. And it was kind of working whenever Zeus and all the gods were more concerned about orgies. And like you said, they fought his guards. They killed them. They fought Zeus. Korg gets shot with Zeus's thunderbolt, and me and Colt in the theater were like, "Oh shit!" Like
I thought he was dead.
We thought he was dead because it was just a randomly jarring shot of Korg falling apart. But then turns out he doesn't die. He still has his face, and later he is able to regrow his rocks. Yeah, and then Thor takes the thunderbolt, gets so pissed and throws it back at Zeus. And well, we thought he died, but he actually didn't, which I don't really understand.
Yeah, we'll come back to that last.
We'll come back to that later. Yeah, that was a huge surprise. But and everybody watched. I should say too, everybody who watched that part, like, kind of just laughed with the gods and characters there. Like, I mean, literally, Valkyrie and Jane were having a moment where they're like, "Oh yeah, let's just watch Thor, fuck up, basically. Haha, let's eat grapes, basically that." Like, it was just completely. It was awful, but yeah, no, we can go into the end part, which I I think might be where I have my most gripes, because so we get there. Thor is having to stop Gore from getting to eternity. He has the kids. Thor saves the kids, but then Thor is like, all right, kids, we're going to go up there and you're going to be brave and we're going to fight. And I'm like, no fucking way are they about to make these kids fight. And he's like, go grab some stuff. Grab whatever you can find.
These kids that have no combat experience whatsoever.
No powers. He says they're as guardians, but like the thing is that Gore can damage Thor like with the Necro Sword. So if they're all being hit by Gore or his monsters, then they can all die just as much as Thor. So I don't know why he says you're as guardians, you're strong. Like no, if Thor's being beat, then they'll definitely be beaten. Yeah. Like
because we didn't say, but he gives these kids the power of Thor, which kind of like in Naruto whenever he passes the Nine-Tail Spirit around to all the people in the war. But this time it's fucking stupid because he gives the ability of the Thunder God to children with no combat experience that turn immediately into combat veterans. It's stupid.
It's really stupid. And then also too, the CG here with the kids. Oh, fuck me. Also, the CG with one of the kids, because he's the son of Heimdall. When he appears before Thor and all of them, that CG looks so fucking bad and campy.
Fucking bad. It looked like something out of Adult Swim. Adult Swim, when they do it, it's charming, it's funny, it's meant to be bad. God. But here, it was just not good.
You're right. That did look like something out of an Adult Swim show. Holy shit. I cannot think of the show, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Mighty Mighty Boosh.
Yeah. So, yeah, all these kids, the worst CG ever where they're fighting. Again, it's treated like it's meant to be like, oh, this is badass, but also it's kind of funny and a joke because there's one kid who has her teddy bear. She uses it to kill a bunch of monsters. Then there's one girl who literally looks like they added her in with bad camera footage that was taken not even for the movie. It was like candid, like amateur footage of this little kid in a fairy outfit, and it was supposed to be funny because she was using her wand to tie up a monster and cut it in half. It was so bad. And then come to find out, actually, I sent Colt a video of an interview with Taika and Chris Hemsworth where Taika says, yeah, those are all of our kids. Yeah, they literally put the cast and crew's kids just for that.
And I've been complaining about this. I was telling Wenzel and them about Obi-Wan, not going to spoilers, but there's a child actor in there, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very suspicious of that kid being someone's child in the directors and whatnot. It's just, get a kid that can act. Don't think that your child can act immediately. Because there are some kids that can act, and there's some that are just having fun. And I don't want your kid to have fun in my movie. I want them to be out doing their own thing. No fun for kids.
I mean, it's fine if you have one or two kids, maybe like a group, maybe 5, doing some bits or something. But there was like 20 kids in this like whole thing. It was so stupid. Yeah, and then so that happens, and then they're fighting Gore. They're able to get we're going to backtrack a little bit to kind of go into what happens next. But we should mention another negative is Mighty Thor. She's underutilized. Mighty Thor herself, when Natalie Portman was announced to be coming back, it was pretty damn exciting. I was excited. I thought it was going to be great. It was going to be fun. When they showed her in the trailer, it looked cool. She looked awesome. But then we got some just terrible, another terrible misuse of a character, honestly.
Yeah, because she's a very, very cool character, very cool combat style, but she's very rarely used, I feel. She's left behind on Earth for a little bit because Thor doesn't want her to get hurt. She actually needs to stay treated because whenever she uses the hammer, I don't remember them specifically saying, but in the comics, whenever she's getting her treatment, she gets the chemotherapy. Whenever she picks up the hammer cancels out the chemo by ridding the body of any impurities. So the chemotherapy is pretty much rid immediately, but when she's turned back to a human, she still has cancer, and it's growing.
Yeah, there's no way for her body to fight off the cancer, so it's like no holding back, nothing guarding against it. It just goes in full force, unless she's holding the hammer. If she's holding the hammer and she's, Thor, then it's fine. She will, she can kind of basically live forever with it as long as she's holding on to it. And in here in the movie, she drops on Thor that she has cancer, and it's sad, but again, they have fucking bits in there, and it's just like, come on, man. And then at some point, we get it, after their second battle with Gore in the Shadow Realm, Valkyrie gets wounded, Jane gets wounded as well. She gets weakened, and then they're having to take everybody back to Earth. She goes back to the hospital, and you would think that we would have a serious moment of okay, if this second half, if it gets serious, it might be good. But it doesn't. It gets a little serious because Thor tells her that because she's wielding the hammer, it's making her body weaker, and it's causing her not to be able to fight off the cancer. That's kind of all he says. If I'm not mistaken, if we are, correct us, please. Give us, I guess, the full text dialogue. But that's it. And so,
for the most of the movie, she's just a cancer. She has cancer. She's not she's not Mighty Thor much, I feel. I feel like, strangely enough, it's 50-50, where she's struggling with cancer and actually playing Mighty Thor, where I feel like she should have been 25-75 with dealing with cancer 25% of the time, and 75% being Mighty Thor, because it's not about her, this movie. It's about defeating fucking Gore.
Yeah, it's and sorry, we're backtracking a lot because this also gets into the idea that this movie is about Thor trying to find himself and answer what the universe wants him to be. But it's like, okay, but what about the character development from the past, his movie Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War? What about all this character development? It's like, shouldn't you already know what you should be? Also too, what about the Guardians? Wasn't that a whole shtick? It was so. It's about Thor finding himself, and honestly, it was just kind of. It doesn't seem like he really found himself. It seemed kind of pointless, honestly. And if you're gonna have somebody else too named Mighty Thor, I think that would have been a good opportunity to, focus on another Thor, because Thor is a mantle. It's not Thor's actual name. His actual name is Odin's son. Thor's a mantle. That's why they refer to her as Mighty Thor. That's why they say she's a Thor. I think they should have made a full use of a 2-hour 30-minute runtime, but it ended up being an hour and 59 minutes. But with the writing, I don't think. Honestly,
I don't think it would have benefited. It would have just been longer suffering.
Yeah, exactly. It would have just been longer suffering. So, yeah, to finally go back to the ending. So there's a part in there where, after Thor tells Jane not to go, he loves her. They have a moment to reconnect, and they're back, I guess, officially on. She shows up wielding the hammer again. He's upset, but they both fight Gore. They beat the shit out of him, but Jane momentarily gets weakened. Thor almost gets stabbed, but then he's able to break the sword, and then Jane uses the hammer's ability to break apart to take some of the necrosword into the hammer itself and ignite it with lightning to completely destroy the necrosword, because the necrosword can rebuild, but it turns the necrosword into dust, and that is how the necrosword is just gone forever. But Gore has opened the doorway to eternity, and he gets in there. But Jane, for some fucking reason, I don't know why, is literally she starts to she reverts back to her human form and is dying. Like, she's on her deathbed right now, and it's not explained why. It just happens because later, it's not like she destroyed Mjolnir. Mjolnir's fine. As long as she held onto the hammer, she would have been fine. Yeah. So there was no reason for her to die.
Fucking zoomed over it, but in the comics, the necrosword is an immortal sword, pretty much. It was there at the beginning of time, and it's going to be there at the end of time. It's something that's indestructible. Yet, she absolutely destroys it, puts it out of its misery, just like that. I know you can't have something like that in the MCU, but they could do what they did in the comics, have Thor thrown into a black hole, but they did not do that. They decided to destroy it completely, which is not something you can do.
Yeah, no, it was insane in the comics because, like Colt said, I think it was King Thor. Yeah. He threw it into a black hole because, again, they couldn't destroy it. He was like, we can't destroy this sword, so we're going to have to put it somewhere where it's unreachable. And
fun fact, they reach it again.
Yeah, somebody reaches it again. But oh shit! Okay, never mind. Sorry, I was just remembering who reaches it, and I was like, oh fuck, that does happen. Yeah, it's insane, and you would think that like they would do something of it popping up later. Marvel likes to do that with characters, with weapons, stuff like that. So that would have been cool, but they didn't. And yeah, so then Jane's dying. They're in the realm of eternity. Gore is at Eternity's feet, about to make a wish,
sucking on his toes, his space toes, getting his earth knocked off.
That was actually pretty cool. That was actually neat. It's so weird. It seems like they put a lot of money into the beginning CG and then the ending CG, because the realm that they were in, it was like a anime, like blue sky and water mirror effect.
Where you fought Rom the vacuous from Bloodborne. Yeah,
and or Tanjiro's soul core.
Exactly.
And Eternity himself, he's literally they really, I mean, they keep true to the comics in terms of his overall form. He looks like the universe, and there's a cool 2D, 3D effect where he looks flat, but then as you turn or move, you can see his 3D shape, his face. It's really cool.
Yeah, the planets inside, in the planet solar systems inside of him, it's kind of like Chowder. In the TV show, whenever the characters would move, the fabric on their clothes would stay in the exact same position. It was very strange, and it's kind of like that. That's one of the things that when I was little, I'd always notice in Chowder, whenever he moved, the pattern on his shirt would be staying the same, but moving. It's very strange.
I'm glad you can compare this omnipotent being to this show, Chowder.
Well,
I never
they make him into a joke in the fucking movie, so I might as well.
No, I mean, they didn't make him a joke. They
probably did.
They will make him a joke later. That's something me and Colt talked about. We hypothesized, and we're like, they're probably going to downplay that shit about this later, but I just never thought Chowder and Marvel would loop around. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Gore's about to make his wish. He's going to probably wish to kill all gods, but Thor is able to tell him no.
No, he's like, you got love.
Choose love, which goes against Gore's character a lot because, like,
in the comics, he killed his wife because she tried to get in the way of him killing gods.
Yeah, it was, I mean, and like we said, the characters can't be the same, but, I mean, honestly, though, like, it would have been far more interesting of a character study, but But with the position that they were at, Thor had to basically plea with Gore. I don't think, because Gore's literally right there at a deus machina, a god, like a god. So they couldn't fight. I get that, but I don't know. It was just kind of stupid. Also, too, with again, what I'm trying to say is it just shows that there's a few things about Gore, his philosophy and everything, that are kind of right. Like, gods are incompetent and they're fucking ridiculous. And the fact that Thor got a bunch of children to fight for him kind of shows that. But yeah, anyway, back to the ending. Gore does choose love. He brings back his daughter. Turns out his daughter is actually Chris Hemsworth's real daughter. And also, there's this really cool shot where his daughter is being reflected in the water, and it shows that she's made of eternity's essence, which is insane, and I don't really know how that works. But then later, Jane dies, and Thor, he's lost everything, but he has something new now, and he has an adopted daughter. And there's a moment where they're like, home life, single dad, taking care of this basically near omnipotent being, who's the daughter.
More fucking actors' kids getting in because their mom or dad's in the fucking movie. Just because you can act doesn't mean your kid can.
Which, it was kind of sweet, kind of funny, but then they're inside of a ship, they get out of it, he gives her Stormbreaker, and he has Mjolnir, and there's supposed to be a badass moment of them running and jumping, and they're about to go into battle, and it's like, all right, cool. Also, the character's actual fucking name was Love and Thunder.
Which is stupid as shit. I hate that. I really do. I think it's dumb and very bad.
Like, all right, cool. So yeah, that's Thor: Love and Thunder. So I guess we should probably talk about end credits.
Yeah, might as well.
So middle credits scene. Zeus is alive. We were all pretty goddamn shocked. He's just talking about how pissed off he was about, like, oh, this sucks. We need to make people fear gods again. Like, dude, really? Like, whoever wrote this did not. It seems counterintuitive to what this is about, but okay. Well, then again, it kind of shows the gods are bastards, so I give you that. Anyway, we get introduced to Hercules. Hercules is now a character. Maybe they might. I mean, I don't know. You never know. Might recast. Might never ever use him again. But he's played by a guy from, most notably, Ted Lasso. Never heard of him, but Hercules is now in the MCU officially. And then final end credits. Jane ends up in Valhalla, and that's kind of it. Heimdall's there.
Yeah, just it was so fucking dumb. The way they just killed. They had Jane there, which is really cool. And they killed her off in less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid. I was expecting like some kind of Malekith teaser of him coming back. Maybe Jane will stay and have her own TV series or something, but no, she's there and gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's like Valhalla is real. There's an actual place for these beings to go to. Oh, Sif's back. I forgot to mention that. Jamie Alexander, the actress who plays Sif, she's back. She's missing an arm. That was also joke and downplayed. Was she was not quote unquote dying, but she thought she was dying, and she was missing an arm, and it was just kind of like you lost
your
an
arm's
arm.
in Valhalla, but if you die right now, you won't go to Valhalla because you didn't die in battle.
And then she's like, oh shit, like, okay, funny, I guess. Where has she been too? Like, half of her people is dead. Where's she been? So yeah.
And it may sound like we've been overly harsh on this movie, and I don't think so. That's because I read the comics and I love them. But just keep in mind that we love, like, pretty much 90% of the MCU, or I do at least. I enjoy the MCU a whole lot. I think it's really fun. I enjoy most of the jokes. Like, I loved Eternals, Shang-Chi, and, what was the recent one?
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange. I loved all of those. Absolutely fantastic movies in my opinion, but it's hated by a lot of like the hardcore MCU fans. I think it's because they're branching out. And this movie felt like they were taking a step back from the branching out. It just felt bad.
Yeah, it felt like Taika was like, oh, people love Thor Ragnarok, so I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to do it even more. Let's go 200%. Yeah, like Colt said, somebody needs to be there to rein him in if he does direct another Thor. I don't think he needs to direct another Thor. I don't think he needs to direct another project within the MCU. I'm sorry. Look, Thor Ragnarok was great. Let's just leave it at that. Well, let's leave it at that with the Love and Thunder. Just count your losses. I mean, it's not a loss for him because he's fucking rich now. But come on, man. I don't know. Whatever. Do what you want. I loved Eternals. I loved Doctor Strange too. And I love Shang-Chi. And I did not love this, and I'm sad about it.
It's a painful timeline. I just feel like it's dumb that we have this super powerful creature now that's roaming the galaxy. I feel like it's going to downplay a lot of stuff. Like, or why didn't Thor bring her to help deal with this massive thing if he pops up back with the Avengers or something on Earth?
Yeah, like, is he just going to be... Is he just going to be taking care of this kid the entire time? I mean...
Is he just going to not be part of the main group anymore? Is he just going to be out in space doing his own adventures now?
And I mean, the thing is that it says at the end, Thor will return. So it's like, okay, now is he just going to do stuff with this little girl that's super powerful? I mean, that's going to look kind of fucking stupid. Like, who thinks that we need more... I mean, who says we need more literal child superheroes getting into these, like, multiversal universal wars? Like, yeah, that's something we need. Which, I mean, you can come at me because there's also Miss Marvel, there's technically Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Miss Marvel, the actor, is an older kid. Like, I have nothing against like older kid actors because I feel like they actually had time to actually learn how to act. This kid's like 6, 7 years old, and it's very clear they're children.
Yeah,
they do not know how to act.
Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, those are our thoughts and comparisons. We hated Love and Thunder. We loved the comics. Hate to be those guys, but we if we're gonna take a stand on source material over a movie, this is the stand we take. So
yeah, and if you're offended by that, sorry. If you love the movie, I'm sorry. I hope we didn't taint your views. But it's just how we felt. It's just how it is. Don't attack us, because if you do, I'll just break the neck or sword, because that's possible.
Yeah. But thank you for listening to us talk about this. Again, please don't let us taint your view on this. If you liked it, you liked it. Or if you want to see it, go see it. You can form your own opinion. Obviously, you're going to do what you're going to do. But this has been All You Can Hear. You can follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. Wait.
That's it? AYCH Podcast?
AYCH Podcast. Okay, I'm sorry. Follow us on AYCH Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, All You Can Hear. Go to our... I should have probably plugged our... you know what? Stop right here. Cut this out. I'm sorry. Look for us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We are All You Can Hear. Leave us a like, rating, review. Subscribe to us, please. If you leave us feedback, reviews, it really helps us. Tell us what you think. Any feedback, we do listen to it. We do look at it. Thank you. Go follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. Go follow us on Instagram, All You Can Hear. Go to our twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. Go to our YouTube, All You Can Hear, I'm pretty sure podcast, I'm sorry, where we have storage, basically, of all of our past streams and stuff. And I've been your host, Wenzel. You can follow me on Twitter at Wenzel. You can follow my art Instagram at Word of Wenzel. You can follow my Bookstagram, where I talk about books, Wenzel Banters. You can go to my Linktree, where I have my links for my Letterboxd, Goodreads, and my store, where I sell art prints and stickers. Go check that out, please. I appreciate it. Thank you again for listening, and have a good day. Yeah, my name's Colt. Follow me on Twitter, ColtD00.
read the comics. Please do. Read Jason Aaron's run. I'm reading through it now, and I love it. That's all.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice.